thatmovieguyUK.
One of my favourite genres in cinema is a social commentary family horror film. Yeah, definitely. And this is what John Krasinski's Get Out is really about. It is one of 2018's most anticipated films, and it is finally arrived in cinemas. John Krasinski, if you don't know, he is mostly famous for US Office, I would say, and he's married to Emily Blunt, who also co-stars in this film. And this is his first major feature directorial debut. He's made two other previous comedies, which I've never ever heard about before. And I just was very intrigued by the trailer. Once I saw that there wasn't really any talking in this film, I was just like, well, we'll give it a go. The trailer did really not give you much information, and that's what I like going into films. So what is A Quiet Place about? It follows the story of the Abbott family, and they live in Little Falls, and they're quiet because an attack happened on Earth, and they are being hunted by creatures that we don't really know much about, and you always have to remain quiet or you will not survive. The family adjust and make their lives as manageable and livable as possible, but things do happen. A Quiet Place is the reason that you go to the cinema. It was really good. I had a good time watching it, and it was intelligent, it was simple, it was effective, but it works so well. To begin with, obviously, with a cinematic experience, you know, you're sitting in a full house of people, people are jumping, they don't really know what's going to happen, you don't really know what's going to happen, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of awkward laughter, there's amazing surround sound around you, so you just don't know where you're going, what's happening. It just was such a mesmerical experience for me, and I had a great time watching A Quiet Place. Obviously, the key element to this film is John Krasinski, because he really orchestrates the audience so well. He knows how to pick the right moment for a certain scene to happen, or a certain moment, or a certain scare. It just works so well. He just elevated the ambience of the film so highly, and it was just beautiful to watch. The key element to this is the minimalism of the sound. There's a lot of sign language in this with subtitles, so if that's not your thing, then you're not going to enjoy this film. There were a couple of people around me that were just like, well, this is shit, and I'm just like, why? It's called A Quiet Place for a reason, so accept it for what it is. Yeah, there we go. As for the minimalism of the sound, though, it really does work well. I like the way that Krasinski took you from the perspective of maybe Emily Blunt or Krasinski, where you have noise, a little bit of fake noise of walking and stuff like that. But when it came to Millicent Simmons, who's actually deaf, we actually get no noise. There are a couple of scenes that are very scary because she's not utterly aware of what her surroundings and what is happening around her surroundings, and I think that is very terrifying. Cinematography by Charlotte Bruce Christensen was really good with this. I really like the way that there's not as much night shots in it. Obviously you do have a couple of night scenes, but the fact that you can elevate the creepiness of a horror film by using natural light and daylight is so good. For a 90-minute film, this is a very non-stop thrill ride. It's a very good homage to older horror films where we get a good 20 minutes of introduction to the family and how life is working. So it's not as scary at the beginning, but once it builds up to, I would say, the last hour, it was just non-stop tension, non-stop everything. It just petrified me sometimes. There's one scene in particular with Emily Blunt in a bathtub, and oh my god, I just didn't know where it was going to happen. I was just like, I was so tense at this point. And as for the subtext of the film, I think the societal commentary in horror right now, just like in Get Out or Don't Breathe, it really does discuss parenthood and how far you go to protect your family and your children and everyone that you love around you. And I think that's a very good message about parenting in the 21st century, especially considering the current political stance that we have in countries like the United States, here in Britain, Syria, everywhere. It's just how we adapt as a family unit under different political pretenses. And as for the cast, Emily Blunt and John Krasinski obviously are married in real life, but I felt like it was a very convincing relationship that you don't feel like it's too Hollywood stars. You just feel like it's just a regular family. And I really did enjoy their separate scenes with the children, their scenes together. There's one scene with an iPod and they just have a little dance, and it's like one of the moments that you get to hear music. And I really liked it. It was very sweet, and I think they just work very well together. As for Noah Jupe and Millicent Simmons, they are very good in this film, but I think that Millicent Simmons really does steal this film a lot. She obviously is in Todd Haynes' Wonderstruck, which is also out this week, funnily enough, in the UK, but it's been out everywhere else for months and months. But I felt like she played a very angry, very passionate teenager with a heroic side to her, and I think her story arc is the most interesting of the four family members, and she really did give a very strong and beautiful performance. As a quartet, there is a lot of passion and there's a lot of angst and there's a lot of feeling in their sign. It's just not like there is a lot of feeling within the sign that they use. Obviously, I'm not an expert at sign language, but you could just feel this amazing quartet of, it was a family unit, and that is what's so great about this film. Like I said, you care about them, you want them to survive. All in all, John Krasinski's A Quiet Place is simple, effective, it's beautifully made. Very happy with it. I think it's definitely one of the better films we will see in the cinema this year, no question of a doubt. I probably will be thinking about this in my top 10 at the end of the year, even though it's April now. Obviously my written review will be on my website www.thatmovieguy.co.uk, and it's also on my Letterboxd, and all my social medias are below. And obviously guys, have you seen A Quiet Place? Let me know what you think of it, because I like to talk to people about movies, because this is what we're here to talk about, is movies. All I can say now is Diolch, danke, obrigado, merci beaucoup, arigato, dankeschön, bitteschön, gracias, grazie mia, arigato, yeah, and obviously never change.